Hello students, I am Dr. Radha from IIT Bhaddal. Organizational design is the design of the organizational structure, while the organizational structure is the design of the pattern of positions and functions in the organization. Organizational design includes organizational structure as well as the design of the organizational process of work with emphasis on the decision making process. The principles of organizational design include: number 1, design is driven by the business strategy and the operating context. 2, design means holistic thinking about the organization, its systems, structures, people, performance measures, processes, and culture, and the way the whole operates in the environment. Design is done for the future of the organization rather than for the present. It is thus a proactive function. Design is not to be undertaken lightly. It is resource intensive even when it is going well. Design is a fundamental process, not a repair job. There are different types of organizational designs: the simple structural design, the bureaucratic design, the matrix design, the horizontal organizational design, the network design, the virtual organization, the project organization, and free-form organization. Let us first discuss the simple structural design. Simple structural design is a traditional and a basic organizational design. In this design, the manager and the owner are the one and the same. This design is characterized by low departmentalization, little work specialization, wide span of control, centralized authority, and little formalization or the rules that governs the operation. Organizations that use a simple structure, they are typically flat because there are not many hierarchical levels. When the company expands, it will more than likely outgrow its simple design structure and move into a more complex structure. The advantages of the simple structural design are that it is very simple to understand and operate, it is inexpensive, it's very fast and flexible. There are certain disadvantages also. This design is suitable only for small organizations. It becomes inadequate as the organization grows. In this design, there is very high information overload at the top due to low formalization and high centralization. This design is very risky as everything depends on the single person at the top. The system tends to collapse without that person. Further, the decision-making process is very slow because a single person has to make all the decisions. The bureaucratic design. This design is based on Max Weber's bureaucratic theory of organization and management. Bureaucracy refers to certain characteristics of organizational design. Weber developed this model of the organization, which is the most rational means of carrying out imperative control over human beings. In Weber's view, bureaucratic organization is the most efficient form of organization. It is also referred as rational legal. Rational because specific objectives of the organization are laid down and organization is designed to achieve them. And it is legal because authority flows from a clearly defined set of rules, procedures, and roles. The features of the bureaucratic design are that administration is done through well-defined rules. Highly routine operating tasks achieved through specialization. A hierarchy of authority and chain of command exists throughout the organization with the regulated system of appeal. Very formalized rules and regulations. Assignment of activities to individual is done as a fixed duty. Grouping of tasks into functional departments. Centralization of authority. Narrow span of control. Decision making on rational and objective criteria so that all decisions are impersonal. Employment and promotion is based upon demonstrated competence, protection against arbitrary dismissal, and training of officials. Office holding is a career within the hierarchical order. The bureaucratic design is prevalent in the bureaucracies like government offices, banks, etc. It is preferred in those enterprises where change is not anticipated. What are the benefits of bureaucracy? First benefit is the rules and procedures are decided for every work. It leads to consistency in employees' behavior. As employees are bound to follow the rules, the management process becomes easy. In bureaucracy, specialties are put together in functional departments, which results in economies of scale and minimum duplication of personnel and equipment. Third, the duties and responsibilities of each job are clearly defined. There is no question of overlapping or conflicting job duties. No importance is given to informal groups, but nowadays a lot of importance is being given to the informal groups. The selection process and promotion procedures in a bureaucratic organization are based on merit and expertise. It helps in putting the right person on the right job. There is optimum utilization of human resources. In bureaucratic organization, the division of labor assists workers in becoming experts in their jobs. The performance of employees improves considerably. And lastly, the enterprise does not suffer when some persons leave it. If one person leaves, then some other one occupies that place and the work does not suffer. Disadvantages of the bureaucracy. This system suffers from too much of red tape and paperwork. Extreme specialization creates interdepartmental conflicts. Also, functional departmental goals can override the goals of the organization. The employees do not develop belongingness to the organization. The excessive reliance on rules and regulations and adherence to these policies inhibit initiative and growth of the employees. They are treated like machines and not like individuals. There is neglect of human factor. And lastly, the employees become so used to the system, they resist to any change and introduction of new techniques of operations. Now we will discuss the matrix design. Matrix design combines two forms of departmentalization, functional and product. Reporting relationships are set up as a grid or matrix, unlike the traditional hierarchy. In other words, employees have dual reporting relationships, generally to both the functional manager and the product manager. The authority of a functional manager flows vertically downwards, and the authority of the project manager flows sideways. Since these authorities flow downwards and sideways, this structure is called the matrix organization structure. The functional manager may look after the functional part of the project. He may decide how to do the work and may distribute the project work among his subordinates. Whereas the project manager will have the authority over the administrative part of the project, such as what to do, follow-up schedule, evaluation of the performance, etc. etc. The most important characteristic of this design is that it straightway violates the principle of unity of command. It follows dual chain of command. What are the advantages of the matrix design? Highly skilled and capable resources can be shared between the functional units and projects, allowing more open communication lines, which help in sharing the valuable knowledge within the organization. The matrix structure is more dynamic as compared to the functional structure. The reason being, it allows employees to communicate more readily across the boundaries, creating a good working and cooperative environment which helps in integrating the organization. Then employees can learn and widen their skills and knowledge areas by participating in different kinds of projects. The matrix structure provides a good environment for professionals to learn and grow their careers. In functional departments, employees are very skilled, and project teams can get these highly skilled employees whenever their services are needed. It reduces the drawbacks of bureaucratic design. The dual line of authority reduces the tendency of departmental heads to put departmental goals first before the organizational goals. Since there is a sense of job security, employees tend to be loyal to the organization and perform well, and hence the efficiency of a matrix organization is higher. Then there are certain disadvantages of the matrix design. For example, employees may have to report to two bosses. This may add to confusion and that leads to conflict. This usually happens in a balanced matrix organization where both the bosses have equal authority and power. A conflict may arise between the project manager and the functional manager regarding authority and power. Then, if the priorities are not defined clearly, employees may be confused about their roles and responsibility, especially when they are assigned a task which is different from what they were earlier doing. If any resource is scarce, there might be competition to use it. It may cause hostility within the workplace and could affect the operation. It is generally seen that matrix organizations have more managers than required, which makes overhead cost high. In a matrix organization, workload tends to be high. Employees have to do their regular work along with the additional project related work, which exhausts them. It's also possible that the employee may ignore either his functional responsibilities or project management responsibilities. And lastly, a matrix structure is expensive to maintain. Organizations have to pay extra to keep resources because not all resources will be occupied at all the times. Some resources are needed only for a short duration. Now, how to overcome the shortcomings of a matrix organization structure? What we can do is roles and responsibilities must be clearly documented and communicated to employees to avoid confusion. Secondly, there must be close cooperation between the project manager and the functional manager. This helps avoid confusion as well as conflict. Thirdly, there should be a well-defined and strong communication in all directions. This is important to gain support from the executives, managers, supervisors, and employees. Organizations must communicate their vision, objective, and goal with their employees. Any conflict between the project manager and the functional manager must be resolved as early as possible, and that too in private. There should be a proper and balanced distribution of authority and power between the project manager and the functional manager. Both managers should get the required power and authority. Any imbalance between them may impact the effectiveness of operations. Next, we'll discuss horizontal organization design. This design is a form of managing workers or employees in which the decision making is spread among employees along horizontal lines as opposed to a hierarchical or pyramidal management structure. The philosophy behind this form of design is that a collaborative model improves morale, productivity, and creativity. This method is often used in the organization that are heavily focused on the product development or core business processes. Horizontal or flat organizational structure is becoming very popular these days. This structure supports the idea that employees need and thrive with lots of responsibility and authority. it also suggests that not one single individual should take the charge of an entire organization. It supports teamwork and innovation. The principles of horizontal organization design include: 1. It believes that organization revolves around process and not the task. Each process has an owner and specific performance goals. To reduce the levels of supervision, fragmented tasks are combined and activities within each process are cut to minimum. It helps to flatten the organizational design. Third, self-managed teams are the building blocks of the organization. Teams have a common purpose and are more accountable for measuring performance goals. Fourth, customer satisfaction and not profits is the primary goal of the organization. Further, reward systems are focused on team results, not just on individual performance. Employees are rewarded for multiple skill development rather than a specified expertise. Sixth, employees are into direct contact with suppliers and customers. And last, all employees need to be fully informed and fully trained about all the data and not just some information on need to know basis. Network design. The network design is a newer type of organizational design. It is viewed as less hierarchical. That is, it's more flat. It's more decentralized and more flexible than the other structures. It totally abandons the classical hierarchical and functional designs of the organization. In a network structure, managers coordinate and control the relationships that are both internal as well as external to the firm. The concept underlying the network design is the social network, that is, a social structure of interactions. Open communication and reliable partners, both internally as well as externally, are the key components of the social networks. This design is the combination of different types of organizations whose actions are coordinated by contracts and agreements rather than through a formal hierarchy of authority. Usually, one firm takes the lead in creating the network. This design consists of several satellite organizations clustered around a core firm. The core firm coordinates the network process and provides services with regard to specialized areas like marketing and product development, etc. Network designs accommodate strategic alliances among the competing firms and give quick response to the threats and opportunities to the satellite organizations. The network design is more agile than other designs because it is decentralized. A network organization has fewer tiers, a wide span of control, and a bottom-up flow of decision-making and ideas. Unlike traditional designs that are old, inflexible, hierarchical pyramids, network designs are flexible. These are spherical structures that can rotate, are competent, consist of self-managing teams around a common knowledge base. But the disadvantage of the network structure is that this is more fluid structure and can lead to more complex relations in the organization. The virtual organization design. The term virtual organization is used to describe a network of independent firms that join together, often temporarily, to produce a service or a product. Virtual organization is often associated with such terms as virtual office, virtual teams, and virtual leadership. The ultimate goal of the virtual organization is to provide innovative, high-quality products or services instantaneously in response to customer demands. These have neither a central office nor the organizational chart. These designs have no hierarchy and no vertical integration. Simply, a virtual organization is a temporary alliance between two or more organizations to undertake a specified venture. The basic aim behind creating a virtual organization is to generate synergy through temporary alliances. The key features of virtual organizations are these are based on electronic contracts and informational networks. The partnership is less permanent, less formal, and more opportunistic. There exists no traditional border of a company. There is a lot of cooperation among competitors, suppliers, as well as customers. As fate of each partner depends upon the other, there is lot of trust among these companies. All participating companies strive towards excellence. Next is the project organization. The idea behind project organization is that as the environment changes rapidly, the organization must take up various activities on the project basis. A project organization is a structure that facilitates the coordination and implementation of project activities. Its main reason is to create an environment that fosters interactions among the team members with a minimum amount of disruptions, overlaps, and conflicts. One of the important decisions of the project management is the form of organizational structure that will be used for the project. Each project has its unique characteristics, and the design of an organizational structure should consider the organizational environment, the project characteristics in which it will operate, and the level of authority the project manager is given. A project structure can take on various forms, with each form having its own advantages and disadvantages. One of the main objectives of this structure is to reduce uncertainty and confusion that typically occurs at the project initiation phase. This structure defines the relationships among the members of the project management and the relationships with the external environment. The project organization structure is opposite to the functional structure. Here, either there will be no functional manager, or if he exists, he will have a very limited role and authority. In a project organization, 1. The project manager has full power and authority over resources which are to be utilized in the project. He controls the budget, resources, and work assignments. Secondly, the project manager has full-time team members working under his control who directly report to him. Thirdly, when the project is completed, the team is disbanded and the team members and all other resources are released. The advantages of the project organization are: since the team members directly report to the project manager, there is a clear line of authority. This reduces conflicts and makes decision making faster and more flexible. Secondly, due to a single reporting system, there are shorter lines of communication. This creates strong and effective communication within the project management team, and response to the stakeholders' concern is also very fast. Third, due to the sense of urgency, milestones, good communication, and cooperation, the learning curve is faster for any new member, and the team members become versatile and flexible due to experience in different kinds of the projects. Then there are disadvantages also. Since the project manager has full authority and power over his team members, he can become arrogant. A lack of power is a problem for the project managers in functional organizations, while abundance of power of a project manager can be a problem in the project organizations. In projects, there is always a deadline and usually a tight schedule, which makes the work environment very stressful. Third, if the organization has multiple projects, there can be poor communication among them, causing resources to be duplicated. Then there is a sense of insecurity among the team members, because once the project is completed, they feel that they may lose their jobs. Therefore, they may tend to be less loyal towards the organization. The cost of employees and equipment can be higher because company may be hiring skilled people and specialized equipment for a shorter period of time. If the project gets delayed, the cost of equipment and other resources can be much higher. Free-form organization. This model is based on the assumption that organization is an open system and the main task of the manager is to facilitate change in the organization. Two extreme forms of this design are mechanistic at one end and the organic at the other. Now, what are mechanistic structures? These are characterized by narrow spans of control, high centralization, specialization, and formalization, as well as there is rigid departmentalization in these structures. And the chain of command, whether it is long or short, is always clear in mechanistic structures. There exist precisely defined rights, obligations, and methods. Control, authority, and communication follow hierarchical patterns. Whereas in organic structures, which are also known as flat structures, these are characterized by wide span of control, decentralization, low specialization and formalization, and loose departmentalization. And the chain of command, whether long or short, can sometimes be difficult to decipher. There exists wide network of control, authority, and communication, and interaction is more lateral than vertical. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned. Organization design is the outcome of shaping and aligning all the components of an enterprise towards the achievement of an agreed mission. It is a whole sequence of work that results in an alignment of vision, mission, values, operating principles, strategies, objectives, tactics, systems, structure, people, processes, culture, and performance measures in order to deliver the required results in the operating context. It revolves around 5 principles. There are 8 different types of organizational designs. Most appropriate design is the one that can offset the effect of environmental changes. Thank you.